Hello, everybody. My name is Dr. John Oda, and listen to me, guys. I got a treat for you. This treat for you. I got, of course, guys, the great Carl Scott. If you guys haven't heard from him,
Hey,
if you don't know if he's great, you'll figure out that he's great exactly sooner than later, guys. This is for our ultimate parenting programs. What are you going to do with your teams this summer? But
yeah.
before we start, I want to give you guys an introduction of who we are, why we're doing this program, the whole 9 yards. You guys can get a sense and understanding of who we are. Is that fair enough? But here it goes. And since I'm a nice guy, we're going to go with age before beauty, of course, right? So,
Yes.
so we'll start off with Carl first. Carl, explain to everybody who you are. Give me some of what you've done,
All right.
what
I'm
you've
Carl
fulfilled in the
Scott.
past, the whole 9 yards. Go.
I have a master's degree in health administration. I was clinically trained in therapy by Dr. Anthony Gasparo for about 17 years as I worked at a program called uh, Regional Mental Health, long time ago. And so I have both sides. I have the administration management side of healthcare as well as the clinical side of healthcare by my training with Dr. Gasparo. So that's who I am. Married, 55 years, 8 children, all are professionals, all have master's degrees or better. They all are doing great things. I'm the most blessed man there is. So, thanks to God, we've worked out very well. My wife is an administrator in education. So, one thing I've learned through all these years of doing this work is that children want to do the best they can. I don't care if they're screaming. I don't care if they're cussing you out. I don't care if they're saying this, that, and the other. What's what's inherent in children is they want to do the best that they can do. We have to find a mode. We have to find a way to tap into that to make them want to do the things that they really would like to do.
Now,
Now, kids
the,
are have a very difficult time with failing. So a lot of them don't want to try. I don't try because what happened? I may fail. Well, we have to give them the soft landing. All right, John, I see you over there.
exactly right. No, and you're absolutely right. So what I wanted to do first was the introduction of who you are. And so let
Okay.
me, no, but here it goes. But I'll start. I think I'll start. So then you can follow the lead. Here it goes. I've been in the mental health field since 1987. I started working with
Mhm.
Carl in 1991. Guys, I'm
Right.
showing my age right now. And I started with Carl working at Charter Hospital, right? And Charter had all these crazy ads going on. If you don't get help by Charter, get help somewhere, right? And
That's
that's
right.
the tagline, right? So I started working with Carl because the people I was working with, they told me that I was not coachable, which I don't understand that, but that's okay. And Carl, he took me underneath his wings, and I bugged the hell out of him until he actually trained me to actually be the clinician that I am. I've been working with him. I worked with him at Charter Hospital, worked with him at Kingwood Hospital, worked him also at River Edge Hospital in Chicago.
That's right.
And when I worked with Carl, see, Carl was not like, so Carl, he was on the unit, but he was literally getting the patients from us, right? And he got some of the most intriguing patients that we actually served. Working with Carl for those 15 years, I've never saw any patients as that severe as anything else in the world. We had people from, so Carl would go more to the DCFS, and we get kids from the state and everybody else. So we had kids that was from murder, kids gangbanging, voodoo priest. We had literally every aspect of it. So we had to use our mental health experience.
That's right.
And we had to
That's
use our mental health experience. So what made me a little bit different than most of the counselors there, most of the counselors do like one group a week or two groups a week. I was doing 3 and 4 a day because Carl let me work 16 hours a day for about the first 10, 12 years of my career. So I worked a lot and I was there a lot and I loved what I did. And
Mhm.
and what I would say was Carl let me explore and do things, and went to different types of
Right.
seminars, different types of trainings. I worked with every kid possible. And then of course I did my own private practice, doing more seminars, more workshops. But
And John,
working with
that
kids,
that taught us that all kids can do better. All
absolutely,
kids want to be the best. We
absolutely.
had gangbangers. We had folks that were in what was that Horner home?
We had
Uh,
the Robert Taylor Homes,
Robert, and they were
Brady Green. Guys, listen to me. As we worked 45 miles west of Chicago when we first was in Indiana. Then
that's
we
right.
worked we worked maybe 15, 20 minutes when we worked in Forest
River
Park.
Edge.
It was right at Chicago, almost in the suburbs. So we worked with literally the worst of the worst. I mean,
Uh,
but the biggest difference was when the kids knew that we cared.
that's right.
When the kids knew that we was going to give them the best of the best, when the
And
kids knew, listen to
when
me,
you offer a kid a soft landing when they fail, they're gonna get up and they're gonna try it again.
absolutely. But so here it goes. There's a lot of people say, well, let's be tough love, tough love, tough love. What people got to understand about being tough love, Carlos, you got to first love the person.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean,
You
anybody
gotta
can.
want it. You really have to genuinely, because kids have a sixth sense. They know when you don't care about them. They
Absolutely.
know when you don't, and when you do, they can see it a mile away.
Absolutely.
Because when John walked on the unit, every time he walked on the unit, everybody stopped. Everybody wanted to talk to him. All the therapists was upset now because their patients don't want to talk to them. They want to talk to John. Why? Because he cared. He genuinely cared. That aura emits from you to that child's sixth sense that says, I am protected. I am in safe hands, and this person is going to do the best for me. And that's what you need. Then your clinical work comes into play, and you do the best for the child.
Carl, I got a question for you, right? And this has
Yeah.
been going on for a while, right? I did private practice a lot and everything else, and every therapist is different, right? You can have the diagnosis, but here's what a question I have, right, for you. Do you think a parent should be their kid friend, or should they be friendly? And could you break that down? Because that has been
Well,
literally, I break it down a lot, but could you break it down? Because
here's the thing about that. This is the biggest rookie mistake that therapists make as well as parents. You kind of feel like if I let them drink at home, then at least they're at home drinking. But what you're really saying to that child, the child knows they shouldn't be drinking. And when you say it's okay if you drink at home, then you're saying you don't care about them. You don't care about installing the right things to them. You don't care about what they do. And guess what? When you do that, they don't like you. You think they like you, they don't like you. Because when you do that with children, they say, where is my protection coming from? Where do I get protected from myself? Who's going to stop me from doing stuff that I know I shouldn't do? If my mother says, here, smoke this joint at home, instead of saying, you will never smoke reefer here, because I don't think you should be doing that. That tells them you care about me and you're willing to protect me. So, no,
yes,
you can't be their friends as you and I are friends. You have to be their parent. You'll always be the parent. I have 8 children, 7 girls, 1 boy, and they love me and I love them. But I am their father. Do we go and party together at a picnic? Absolutely. Do we have good times? But I'm always their father. And when they need something, they come to me. When their children need something, they come to me. But so I'm going to tell them what's right, what's wrong, what they need to do, what they need not to do. And you can't do that if you think we're equal. We'll never be equal. I will always be your father, and they will always be my children. I have children in high positions. I have children that run school corporations. But guess what? They're still my child. And I'm still their father. And when they get off that job and come home, I'm dad and they're my child. We'll never
Absolutely.
be equal.
Absolutely. And what I've ran into in the private practice, right?
And it's not fair. It's not fair for them.
Oh no.
It's not fair that you be their friend. It's only fair that you be the child, be the parent that you're supposed to be.
So what I always tell people, imagine a clock, right? And if you imagine a
Mhm.
clock, the 12, the 3, and the 6, right?
Mhm.
So the 12, and most families, or it should be, but the families I see is not like that. The 12 should be leadership, and the leadership should be the parents. That's what it should be.
Mhm.
Now, as soon as your kid is that leadership role, meaning that they get the temper tantrum, they run the household or whatever takes place, now the parents move to the friend. That's number 3. Or they move to the joker, which the kid doesn't really respect you, not at all, right? So the question that I have for you, Carl, if a parent is not the leader of the house, meaning like they are the leadership of the house, and if they're the friend or else the joker, can they ever get back to that leadership role?
They can, but it takes work. First of all, parenting is a 24/7 job. You are on duty 24 hours a day. You may not do something 24 hours a day, but you are on call 24 hours a day. You can never not be a parent. And that's the hardest thing for at least some of the younger parents because it's a lot of work. You sacrifice so much. There's things that I would never let my child see me do because I'm their parent. They, they don't do stuff with me. When I go out drinking with my friends, I don't bring my kid around along with me. Not because I want to keep it from them, but because there's a hierarchy. I'm the parent, you're the child. We can be drinking at a function if you're old enough and if you're functional enough to do that. But even so, guess what they do? They never get drunk around me. They never do any other drugs if they ever did drugs around me. So that's the respect of a parent. And I say it's a 24-hour job. Everybody don't want to do it. So the thing that must happen is you must take that parent and instill in them the nature of their position. And once they
And how do you do that though? So
well,
I'm gonna give you an example. We have a single parent family. She have a kid, and she wants to be her friend or be friendly, or just want to be her friend, right? But she wants to instill things in her and have boundaries and everything else, but it's not taking place, right? How would you approach that, or what would you say to give her some feedback to go, listen to me, you're
well,
crossing the
first of all,
lines.
the first thing I would do is analyze with that parent the nature of the behavior that goes on between that parent and the child.
Okay.
Analyze that, let them see how that's going. Then I would talk to them about why this is going that way. Are these things happening? And then I would talk about what they want for their child. And if they want these things, make them a list. What are the things you would want best for your child? They make that list. We come back and talk about it. Now we talk about how that's going to happen. And when I do that, they realize they're at the top of every one of those lists. Nothing is going to happen. None of my children, even though they're very smart, and I'm blessed with the fact that they're very bright kids, get that from their mother. That yes, she's very smart. But it's our parenting style that we're on duty 24/7. Let me give you a little, just a minute of a story. In my household, there was no such thing as not going to college. You could get married, you could have 20 kids, you're going to college. So none of my kids did that, but so in our house, we instilled in them. They watched me go to college. They watched their mother go to college. They watched us work day and night to take care of them, plus go to school and finish and do that. So they watched us do that. And we said, this is what you will do. I have one child that tested that. Calissa. Calissa said, I'm not going to school. I'm not going to college. I'm not doing none of that. Now, so what did we do? Just go crazy on the child? No. We said, okay, then you go get a job. And if you live here, you'll pay some rent. And we made the rent just hard enough that she noticed the difference in what her pay was and what she had to pay us to live there. So every month when she paid the money, we bought frivolous things with it. If it was $200, we went out and bought something for $200. And every month we would be in the room. We would be in the room so she could hear us saying, hey, is it my turn for the 200? Is it my turn for the money? No, it's my turn. Oh, man, I thought I was going to buy this. So we did that. You know how long that lasted? That lasted one semester. The next semester, she said, this is crazy. I'm not keep paying you guys this money. I'm going back to school. She now has a master's degree in social services because
just like that.
That's it. But whipping her, grounding her, no.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's not really the strategy. When I was growing up as a kid, the number one rule was we're going to college. I mean, that was the outcome. I mean, that was literally the outcome.
That's right.
And then when I was growing up, when I would see my siblings graduate college and everything else, I said, man, this can't be that hard because, I mean, they can't be that damn smart, right? But of course, they are rock stars, right? But when you put the standards, what you have to get done, and plus that is the standards orals in business. That's your mission statement. Your mission statement is you're going to college and graduate. That's it. Right. There's no F. So anyway, so one day, so I had to be about 12 years old. I said, Mom and Dad, I got a great idea. I'm not going to college. I'm going to stay home with you and take care of you guys because you guys are getting old. Dad, so, Mama called Dad, said, oh, guess what John said. So Dad came on home. He gave me some colorful language. I mean, we're talking about colorful language. I'm not going to repeat it. Mm-hmm. And after a while, Mama she went in there, got some colorful language. I said, okay. I said, so here's an option. You either go to college, you go to the mill, or you go to the armed force. Well, the armed force is pretty hard. I don't want to do that because I have 3 brothers doing that one. We're not doing that way. The mill, that's a hard job, man. I mean, crazy money, but man, that's working hard.
You gotta believe it.
I guess college wins, right? But it was but it was the outcome, right? Because mom said, just like you, if you're going to be in my house, you got to go to college,
That's right.
or else
And
you got to leave.
if you live in my house and go to college, I will work 15 jobs if I needed to make sure you have everything
Absolutely.
you need.
Absolutely.
And that's what we did, because
Absolutely.
we're the parents, and it's up to us to sacrifice for them.
I agree. And let me tell you about my parents, right? They had such great parenting skills, right? So when they passed away, dad passed away in 91, mama passed away in 86, that the siblings thought that we were the favorite. Everybody thought that they're the favorite.
Mhm.
But now, and in actuality, it's really me, right? But you know, they're a little bit they're delusional, right? But it's really me, though, right? But we all thought that we're the freaking favorite, right? That's great parenting. But here's a question I have is for you, Carl, right? So remember, we worked back in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s, right? And we saw a lot of crazy things back then, right?
Yes.
What is the end right now? With most people know, you do part-time, you still do clinical work, right? So you do more of, when people come on in, you figure out what they are by the DSM-5. You pretty much analyze, and I can't think of what it's called, but that's what you do. Now, when I was working, the last time I worked, it was the DSM-4 back in 2010, right? So they changed it completely, right? Well, they only took out a couple of actions anyway. But what is the difference between back in the 90s, right, kids, and the kids right now on social media, on all that crazy stuff? Because I know that you get that stuff all the time.
You're mentioning it. It's technology.
Okay.
Kids in my era, when I was a kid, we didn't know how much our parents made in terms of money. Did you? Did you ever ask them? Absolutely not.
No.
Did you know how much a house payment was? Did you know how much it costs to go to the grocery store? No. Our children, because of technology, because of social media, they have all the information they need at the click of a button. So you no longer can be the lord of the room because you have more knowledge than me. We have the same knowledge, unfortunately. But it's like this that I always say. You take a child that's 5 years old, he watches you cook for 6 months. He just watches you cook. And then on the 7th month, you say, well, you go in and cook now. Could he do it? No. So they have information that they have no idea what to do with it. That's the problem.
There's a lot of information on the.
A lot of information.
I mean, a lot of information. I mean, I can go to my cell phone and I can pick up anything that I actually want to.
Anything that
anything. There's a lot of information.
What? But guess what? A 10-year-old can do that too.
And matter of fact, and they can probably do it better than I do.
Right. And what can they do with it? They have no idea what to do with it. So this is the difference in 91 and 2023, is that you have to see kids in a different light. We were respectful because we didn't know any better. We thought our parents were some kind of superhero. We thought they were, I didn't think my mother went to the bathroom. I mean, she don't go to the bathroom like me. No, she's a woman. She's precious. The kids nowadays know everything. So you have to come from that perspective. I know you know what you think you know, but you don't know what to do with it. Let me teach you and put that in perspective. So we can come to a place where even though you know it, you know that you don't know what to do with it. And now I'm going to help you maneuver through this maze of information. What information you should hold on to, what information you should let go, what information you should use, and what information you should ask somebody. Somebody that
I got a question.
trust.
I got a question for you, right? So you do assessments all the time, right?
all the time.
You work in the assessment stuff. You don't do the clinical stuff, thank
No,
God, but you do all the assessment,
I
right?
do the immediate assessment.
So like, so then you come in and you give them X, Y, and Z based on the DSM-5 or based on also on your 10,000 years of working inside this crazy field, right? Here's a question that I have for you. So I'm going to give you an assessment right now. You have a 15-year-old daughter, a 15-year-old kid, and she's being bullied at school by social media. Have that ever came up?
Every other case is that.
What? So
Almost every other case has to do with some social media problem between the kid and the posts that come on her social media. And I always wonder, I said, well, why can't you just turn it off? They can't turn it off. Their brains won't let them. So, I'm thinking, why do you have to look at that? They have to. So we could say that they shouldn't look at it all you want, but just like my parents couldn't talk me out of wearing bell-bottom pants. You can't talk a child out of looking at their posts every 5 minutes. That's not gonna happen. And the other big thing that happens, that's probably 60% of all cases have to do with social media. You know what the other 40% has to do with the parent taking their social media away from them. You take a child's phone, you take a child's tablet, you take a child's computer, you better be armed with calling the police, calling an ambulance, or because the first thing they're gonna do is, if I don't have that, I may as not be living. I might as well die. That's how they feel about it.
So do you think this is almost a form of addiction? Like when people have
oh yeah,
addiction,
we would call it addiction. We would call it an addiction because we're looking back at them.
Exactly.
Okay, but now when we were doing the things we were doing, were we addicted?
It depends on what it was.
It was just something we were doing. I mean, so I think, is it addictive? Yes.
Okay.
It is addictive in that
it is.
You have to do it. And when I say not I want to do it, I have to do it. And they have to do it. There's not a time where you won't see a child from 10 years up with a phone in their hand. It's not in their pocket. It's not somewhere else. It's in their hand to look at any second they want to. My wife was in the classroom for a long time. And she said, if she spent all of her time taking away phones, every hour would be that. Every hour she would just take away 20 phones and no instructions would be done. So what she did was say, you have to put your phone in your pocket. Put it on buzz, because I know you got to get that information. But for 25 minutes, I want you to have this instructions while it's in your pocket. But don't take the phone. Don't take the phone. It's not going to work.
So I got a question for you, right? There's another question. So we deal with thousands of kids, hundreds of thousands of kids in our career. I was doing workshops and everything else, right? And a lot of the kids did extremely well, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of them did extremely well because, of course, we have level system. We have level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, right? So we had structure, right?
Yes.
The kids who did have structure, right? Those are the kids who really do they didn't do so well, right? They tried the system that we had. We put them in form, explained to them what's actually going to take place, but they couldn't do well because they don't have structure, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here's a question that I have for you, right? Okay, so right now, school is getting ready to come out. All right,
Mm-hmm.
school is out, in I think in this crazy. I mean, because it coming out. I'm in California, right?
Yeah.
So I think this coming week, school's out.
Well, in my area, school's out now. There's no kids.
So
today is my wife's last day.
So Indiana, school's out. So
Yeah.
back in Northwest Indiana, where you're at, school's out.
School's
so
out.
Ours out is going to be like this week, right?
Right.
So here's what I have. So in most times when the school system, they have structure. They have classes to go to and they have structure, right? What takes place when the kid get out of school? And now maybe they might go to summer school, and summer school is only 4 hours, right? 3 to 4 hours, depends on the area that you're at, right? How big does structure play for a kid? Preteen, teenager.
As you already know, the answer to that is that structure is everything for a child. The child wants structure. They fight against it like crazy, but they're trying to find out where the boundaries are. They just want to know where are the boundaries. Oh, can I do that? No. Okay, but can I do that? No. Well, how about that? Yeah, you can do that. How about this? No, I can't do that. They want to know where the boundaries. If there's no structure and I can do anything, you guess what? You don't care about me. And guess what? I'm not safe because I can't take care of myself.
That's
no matter how much information I have, no matter how easy it is to get it, I cannot take care of myself. I need structure. So the parent has to provide that structure. And if you don't provide that structure, then you lose any gains you've made during the school year. You now will lose all of that. And in September or whenever school starts back, you're starting from square one. Because now they spent the summer doing exactly what they want to do, and they don't know what to do. All they know is to do stupid stuff.
Because Lord knows I did stupid stuff back in my damn day.
Hey,
but here goes. But mom was pretty smart, right? So mom was a nurse, right? So every summer, mom took off, and I'd say, "Mom, why are you taking off every summer?" She said, "Boy, I'm gonna have you work. I'm gonna have you get some stuff done." And I used to hate summer breaks. People say, "You like summer breaks?" No, man, mom's home. Man, we can't do anything. But here's here's the biggest question. But mom worked midnight. But here's the biggest question, right? So summer's out pretty soon, right? Some kids are going to summer school, which is a couple hours a day, right? But they have no structure. So at school, you have a structure. You're there from 7 years, they're there to 2:30, whatever time it is, but it's a structured time, right? So now the parents have to work now. Back in the day, a lot of people didn't have to work, right? But at least
one of the parents didn't have to work.
Right, yes. Exactly, right. But now, I mean, in California, if you're not working, it's going to be challenging. And right now, food went up crazy, houses went up totally crazy, right? Mm-hmm. Gas prices for us is almost $6, you know. Mm-hmm. I mean, so everything went up crazy, right? So you can't stay home to work.
No.
So what would you tell parents today, right? How could you structure things? Because they're not in school right now. So they're out of school this week, next week, they're done, right? How can you have a structure so in the 2 months that they're out of school that they're not going to lose everything? Because you're right. If you're not going to steadily do stuff or else work on some issues that you have to work on or close those gaps, if it's school issues or if it's problems, if it's defiancy, if it's addiction of whatever, right? Mm-hmm. If you don't close those gaps now, it's almost like the parents are starting back all over. What would be your suggestion?
My suggestion would be to enroll them in a structured program, and I would talk to them about it because I would not throw the kid in it without talking to them about it because you've lost them already. But I would say, Here's the reason why I think this might be good for you. I'll list the things that I think might be good for you. So if you would do that, and let's see how you like it. And then, then, oh, I don't like that. All right, then let's try this. And we try that. But I would impress upon them that a structured program you must be into. Now, a lot of times the parents with well-to-do income will send the kid off to some boarding place, some summer camp where they are there for 2 or 3 months, and then they come back and they've been in a structured environment. Actually, they've been in a school like the school they've been in.
True.
But other than that, when do you become the parent? I mean, the whole idea of structure has to include the person at the top of the pyramid, the parent.
But you know what, though?
Parent must be involved.
And I'm happy that you mentioned that. Let's mention the involvement part, right? Here's how I see things. Here's how my crazy brain works, right? If you're going to tell me that I'm going to have to go to a structured program, right, to get better or do X, Y, and Z, and what I always say, the speed of the leader, the speed of the pack. If you're going to go as well to take some courses to actually improve yourself, then we're a team. But if you because as you know, Carl, right, when we worked in the mental health field, right, when just say Sue would come, the parent name was Sue, and she would say, Johnny's have all these issues, right? Johnny's this, Johnny's this, Johnny's that. Well, where did Johnny learn these issues from? Of course, from his environment, right? But now when we take both of them in there and get some work done, now Johnny's saying, wait a minute, hey, mom, if mom's going to do something, I can do something as well. Now we're working as a team, because if you get Johnny doing extremely well, Johnny's going to still go back to that same toxic environment.
Yes. And that's always one of the difficult pieces to any type of structured program. If it doesn't include the person that controls the environment, then you're not gaining anything. Because when the person goes home to that environment that the father and the parent controls, then if they haven't been abreast to this new structure, they're going to go back to wherever they were before. And that's just the way it's going to be. And we found that true until we did something phenomenal, and we start bussing the families in and having the family understand.
That was fun.
And then doing that, at least when they went home, they had some semblance of knowledge about what Johnny was doing all of this time and agrees with what's going on. And guess what? I think I can do better too.
I'm happy you mentioned that. Remember Dr. Hank, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Hank would have all these parents come on in. The parents would sit on the like on the chair. Then the kids would be there, and they would confront them and show them how to do parenting skills right in front of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That part was invaluable, because sometimes the parents didn't say anything; they were just looking, but they're taking notes, right?
That's right.
Here's the question that happens, right? So just say if the kids don't have structure, and what is the consequence of being unsupervised for the whole summer, in your point of view?
Well, it's the 5-year-old kid that you just told to go cook. He's going to burn himself in the house down. There's no limit to what can happen. I don't care how smart the kid is. I don't care how adult-like he seems. A child needs structure, and they need structure from their parent. And they'll take structure from anybody, really, if they know you care about them.
Absolutely.
But they would like to have that structure from the parent. But if not, without structure, then that's why they do stuff like go into the streets and get shot and go into the streets and do stuff that they would never even think about doing, because that's
Absolutely.
what children do when they don't know what to do. Then they just do anything.
Absolutely. And, you know, and one of the biggest things in the way I've said, a lot of people said that there's a lot of at-risk kids, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
believe that all kids are at risk, right? So the kids that we,
Potentially, yes.
because the kids that we work with, they had to find ways of actually getting money, right? But now I stay in Irvine, California, right? These kids already have money, right? And what they're doing right now, which people don't understand this, right? Irvine, in this area, we have the highest suicide rate, and we have the highest people addicted to heroin, right? So what they do, they hit to, you know, they get paid X, Y, and Z. Man, we're only 35 miles away from LA. Now, 35 miles, guys. If you're from Indiana, that's still an hour and a half drive.
Mm-hmm. Now,
So
and they don't have to do anything to get the money. See, the poor kid got to rob a bank, hit somebody over the head. They have the money in their pocket already.
I mean, because even like, even back home, Valparaiso, right? Valparaiso was the exact same thing. Valparaiso is Indiana, you know, Portage, Indiana, parts of Porter and Crown Point, all the areas back. Same thing. These kids are going to Chicago. What? They're getting drugs. Right. The parents didn't know about it because the parents work and they want to have the best life, right? They want to give them cars, they want to give them X, Y, and Z. But you know, you can give a kid a lot of great things, right? But if the kid does not know that you love them and care for them,
right,
it just doesn't make a difference to you, right? So I mean, it doesn't make a difference. Or else you say, you know, hey, here's some allowances. You do X, Y, and Z, and you do whatever you want to. Or else, what I tell parents as well, right? When a kid have a friend, you need to meet the parents, because the hits that about it is they're going to be around that same environment. And
can you imagine growing up as a child and you had a friend that your parents didn't know? There was no such thing as that.
No,
but we can't compare the two.
Oh, not at all.
Life doesn't exist today
I
as it did then. There's no crossovers.
No.
It's completely different. So yes, I think the parent has to say, you know, because the kid thinks, I'm as grown as you are. Why do I have to tell you my friend? I mean, I like him. That's all that matters. No, you live here. And as long as you live here, I will know every person and I will know their parent. And if we can't do that, then you're going to be at home.
No, I mean, my parents had a dead strict. I mean, they said, listen to me, I'll meet all your friends. And mom and dad said, you can't hang out with him. And of course, when you hang out with them, you know, there's a consequence based on everything that you do, right? Which I can appreciate it. Now I can appreciate it. Back then, I didn't appreciate it.
That's right. Now I can really appreciate it. But even though they knew our friends, even though they knew their parents, we still got into trouble. We still did crazy stuff. But can you imagine
not
that
anybody
scenario and you don't know their friends?
So that part right there is a huge challenge and stuff, right? So
right.
I mean, and so my biggest thing about having this program, right? Listen to me. I've been doing mental health for 2/3 of my life.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I do. Now, don't get me wrong, guys. I do business coaching, executive training, seminars, workshops. I love that, right? The mental health side is really my first love. This is my first love because, my God, man, when you can make the transformation from a kid, right? When they go, and my transformation to Carl, so I go in from going from a caterpillar to a butterfly, that metamorphosis, and you see that change. Right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes I see the change like in the first day. Sometimes, man, a week, but man, a couple months, oh my God, these people are completely different, right? So what I did was what I did was I talked to Carl. I talked to Dr. Horton. He's not on this show, but he will be. Dr. Horton, he's a clinical psychologist. I talked to Scott Conway about creating a program, more of a structured program for people for the summer to start around June 19th to almost all the way up to August, the middle of August, right? Or August 7th or something, right? To come up with a program and based on skill sets, which I believe that people actually need, right? So I've done many teen programs. I did one on leadership, a college bound program, parenting. Here goes, entrepreneurship. Teach them how to run a business. Teach them how to code. Teach them different stuff. And of course, Carl got some programs. He got programs.
Find out what their interests are.
Exactly. Interests are, and then create a program based on that.
That's right.
Because here goes, if they're in a structured environment, they're having fun, they're learning about leadership, about self-esteem. Because here's what I found out. In school, it doesn't teach you everything. When I was going to school, I was an L7. I was a square. Completely square. Now, not a brother, older brother. I mean, Ben was, cool, good looking, confident. My confidence was like nowhere. I had to actually acquire it by doing what I do right now. And as again, though, guys, growing up, I had a severe stuttering problem. I had to overcome a lot of stuff to get to where I'm at right now. And so I know a lot of the kids, they go through some stuff because I've been through stuff myself. So as Carl's right, create a program based on what they like and to create a structured environment so they can still learn and still grow.
Sort of what they like, most of what they need, and give it in and put it in an environment that they will accept.
Absolutely.
See, those are the three things. Some of what they want, because what they might only want is to play video games all day. No, that's not something you can do. So some of what you want, a lot of what you need, but placed in an environment that they will accept. Now, meaning they're not going to absolutely love it. They're not going to absolutely think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, but will they accept it? If they accept it, then that's the best you can get it.
Absolutely. But I was thinking about Carl, right? Here's my epiphany just went inside my head. Remember how we did the level system? And a system was based on what they can have, based on everything else. So when I used to do the home one, when I used to do my private practice, they all started out on level 4, on the best level, right? But then, of course, when they didn't do anything, when they, make the bed or whatever took place, right? They went down on levels. But then their consequences changed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to have structure, and not all kids might need it, but some kids they might need a level system at home because that can help them out as well and to be more structured for them.
That's right. And you have to meet the child where they are.
Absolutely.
Some kids would absolutely never let you do that. And some kids would say absolutely. They feel like they're gaining something and they like the idea that rewards come quick.
But yes and no, though.
Kids have to know, if I do this, then I'll get that. If I do this, then I'll get that. Well, life doesn't really work that way. So you have to make if you do this, I'll get that, little longer and longer and longer, meaning doing these things are for your good, not for a token. Because in real life, no one gives tokens. So it has to be, if you do this now, then the result of that, here are all the steps that it's going to lead you to. So you do this, and after 10 steps, you get rewarded with this. That way they realize that life is a journey kind of thing. Oh, as a matter of fact, I saw this kid last night, and I said, "Well, when did you stop smoking?" A long time ago. Oh yeah, when was that? Last month.
Well, man, wait a minute. Here goes, man. Wait a minute. Here goes. On his timeline, that's a long time
That
ago.
was a long time.
That's
I was like, wow.
but that's his
Last
timeline,
month
though.
was a long time ago, because the reason why I asked her, because she still had marijuana in her system from the labs.
Of course, I mean, remember,
So
it
that
takes
told
30
me-
days.
That told
60
me
days.
it was within 30 days.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
But that's a child's thinking. And this kid was 15 years old.
But
So
now, let me hit on a part that you mentioned, right? And I have to hit on this part. You said that some kids are not going to like to have a level system at home. You're absolutely right.
right.
And I agree with you. And the only reason why I agree with you on that part, it depends on who is the leader of the family. Now,
That's
if
right.
the parents have this leadership role, they might get mad, but they'll do it. But if the parents are the friends or else the joker, that's never going to happen at all. It's never going to happen at all. And even going to a structured program is not going to help because the kids run the program. Because
And
kids
plus, a
run the
lot of
household.
parents use it as a stick. See, they use it against them as a stick and beat them over the head with it. That way, I mean, that's the worst thing you
Absolutely.
can do with a child. You will
I agree.
lose that child so badly. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, it's got to be a thing where it's a give and take. There's a give and
Absolutely.
take, because the boundary can be this wide, but within that boundary, we can negotiate. And
Absolutely.
the kid learns that sometimes there's broad boundaries, and then sometimes there's very narrow boundaries. If you drive a car, you must have a license. That's a narrow boundary. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. If you left your driver's license at home and you get stopped by the police, guess what? You don't have your driver's license because it's that narrow. Now, but there's some other broad boundaries that if you can't clean up your room today, well, I'm going to give you 2 days to clean it up. Okay, if you can't do it today, that's fine. I'll give you 2 days. After 2 days, then you're going to have several hours to clean it up. So now I've given you boundaries, but with a cutoff part. Because what you're doing is teaching child what they can expect in life. And you're giving them the better tool. So when they reach that point, they can say, "Oh yeah, I kind of remember this." So
2 days.
yeah,
Carl.
if I don't want to do my homework tonight, well, guess what? I'm only going to have 2 days before it's due, and I'm going to have to get it together, because you set up that mode of thinking in their brain to tell them there's always boundaries to everything.
And
Broad and
I agree
narrow.
with you. I truly agree with you 100% on that. When I was growing up, my mom didn't give me 2 days. Mama said, "Do it," and have to, and the stuff had to get done. But it's a different era, right? A completely
Yes.
different era. But I do
That's
understand that if they don't have any boundaries, you have to start with something that actually hit it so hard, because then they can actually learn, right? So here goes. We have programs that we're going to create some programs for the structure for the parents as well as for the teenagers as well and preteens, right? Because I believe that when you have structure, you have success, right?
Yes.
And then if they're going to learn something that they can actually get better with, if it's improving their self-esteem or leadership skills or business or improving their grades or whatever takes place in that, right? There's going to be a lot of different courses out there, right? Or else if they're even addicted on something, we have the great Dr. Horton, who's going to actually work on that. We have Scott Conway who's going to work on a program called the Ohana Way. So we have a lot of different things. And of course, Carl's going to do like leaderships, and then because just believe it or not, just after to this song, Carl created our whole programs that were what we had on back, in the 90s and in the 2000s. He created everything for us.
Mhm.
So thank God that he did that part, right? But as the biggest goal is we need to have structure and have some fun. My style, and most people who know me, I'm fun, I'm wild, I'm crazy. I do dance and do whatever it takes because I want to learn. Because it's all about learning. It's all the threes. It's going to be entertaining. It's going to be educational. It's going to be exciting. And we do have a free Facebook group as well. So you guys can always go to Facebook. It's going to be the same title name as this class. But I do have a free Facebook group so we can have some more on what's going to actually take place. Do you have anything else to say, Mr. Scott?
No, I think they'll be excited to see this program. So now we have to make sure they can get to it and understand it, and make sure if they have any questions, they can contact us.
Absolutely, and though I'm jazzed, man, because I haven't done a program like this in, my God, maybe a decade or so, right?
Mhm.
But again, though, man, mental health, I love this. I love it because for me, I constantly work on myself. I constantly work on all my clients when they have business coaching clients. I work on the same strategies, right? But as I get phone calls from my old patient 30 years ago, who says, man, the stuff of that you taught me back then, they're paying for it right now. I said, yeah, they are paying for it right now because they
That's
teach
what
the
you
same
do.
stuff.
And that's the whole idea of what you do when you teach someone. You hope they hold on to it. You hope that they use it somewhere, somehow.
Absolutely.
Because how many kids say, no, I don't need no education. I'm going to be a rapper. I'm going to be a whatever. I'm going to be a promoter. Well, guess what? When I show them, instead of saying, well, no, you're not, blah, 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 it's the better thing to say, all right, let's break that down. What is a rapper? Blah, blah, blah. How you get into rapping? Blah, blah, blah. What is that? Do you need to understand English? Do you need to understand form and structure? Do you need to understand any of that? Then there's always something you need to learn to do whatever you're going to do. There's no profession that you can have that you haven't been taught some foundational information about that job. It's just the way it works. And so we can have a kid do anything they want to do, but they're going to have to learn some basic principles about whatever it is they want to learn, or whatever it is they want to do. There's principles about it. There's learning tools that you must have. And so we're going to provide that for you.
It's funny that you mentioned it.
My wife had kids that says, I'm going to produce beats. Rappers buy beats.
Oh, big time, yeah. Big time money, man.
Big time money.
There's big time money in that. I
couldn't believe how big the money is from you creating a beat that the rapper now uses in his piece. I said, well, then, do you need to know math? Do you need to know a time signature? Do you need to know music? Absolutely. I think if you did, it would help provide the background and foundation for creating beats.
I agree.
So there's nothing you can say you want to do that there isn't some foundational tools you have to gain.
It's funny. We had a patient, matter of fact, in Charter. This kid had a 49-inch vertical. He said he wanted to be the next Michael Jordan. I said, you can do that. He said, you think so? I said, absolutely. I said, but didn't Michael go to college? He said, yeah. So I guess you need to improve your grades. He said, yeah, I got to do that. I said, now, you know, Michael Jordan practiced about a good 4 or 5 times a day. Are you willing to do that? He said, yeah, I can do that. And I gave him a list, and the kid, you know, he left the hospital and he played college ball. Now, was he the next Michael Jordan? He was not, but hey, he went further than anybody would ever expect. I mean, the kid had his 4-year degree. And,
there you go.
And so we hit an accomplishment because the kid played basketball. He was very good at what he did, right? Was he Michael Jordan? No, but my God, man, this kid got jumped, right? But he went to college, he went to school, he got his grades right. He did the stuff that people had to learn to do, right? Mm-hmm. So anyway, we can talk forever, guys. I didn't know that. Oh my God, it's past an hour right now, guys.
Oh wow!
And Carl, you talk a lot. Listen, man, you talk more than me, and I talk a lot, but you talk even more than me. But anyway,
well, we're on a subject that I love, and I could talk about in my sleep. So that's how that goes.
So it goes. We'll put up some stuff about the next thing. We'll talk about the Facebook page. We'll come up with a concept, and we'll probably be back on next week talking about a specific subject, and we'll go from there.
Yes.
Fair enough, Carl? All right, guys. Take care, everybody, and God bless.
Thank you.
And
thank
we'll
you
talk
for
soon.
giving me this time. I appreciate it.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Oh, wait a minute. We didn't go with the website. It's my bad. So you guys can DM me, the people who's on Facebook as well as LinkedIn, the people who are on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me, right? So we are at drjohnoda.com. That's www.drjohnoda.com. Phone number is 833-375-6466. You can ask for me as well as Carl.
Give them that number again.
It's 833-375-6466. Right? And you guys can contact us at any time, guys, because that's the people on YouTube, right? Now the people on Facebook or else LinkedIn, just DM me, or you can DM Carl as well. We can go from there. You guys take care, and always God bless.
All right. Thank you for this time.